Hey, what's up? So I'm gonna show you how to graph your linear equations. You will be probably tasked with something like this: y equals 3 divided by 4x plus 4. Let's say it looks like this. And then you will have to draw a line on the graph right here. The line will look like this, but it has to be a very specific line that corresponds with your exact equation that you get. Now, why would we even want to graph linear equation in the first place? Well, you're probably familiar with the equations with one variable, like x minus 3 equals 0. It's easy to solve this equation. You just add 3 to both sides of your equation and you get x equals 3. This is the solution of your equation with one variable. Now it's easy because there's just one variable. In case with the linear equations, you actually have two variables, x and y. That's why it's a bit more complicated. But we know that if we have a linear equation, our solution can be represented as a line on this graph. So the line that you will end up with is actually the line that contains all the solutions for your linear equation. So this point, and this point, and this point, all of those will be the solutions of your equation, just like x equals 3 is the solution to this equation. Well, why, in the case when we only have x, our solution is a number, and when we have a linear equation, our solution is a picture, is a drawing? Well, actually, you can also represent the solution to this equation on the graph as well. Look, here we have two variables, x and y, and we have two x's, x and y. In this case, we only have one variable, which is x, so our graph will look a bit different, like this. It will only have one axis, which is x. It starts right here at 0, and if I wanted to graph my solution, it will be just one point right here, which is point 3. This is the graph of this equation. So yeah, you can always draw the solution to your equation, but in this case it's much easier to represent it as just number 3, but in case with linear equations, you will have an extremely hard time just listing all the dots on this line. It's much easier to just draw the line and show it as a result. Now I will give you a small formula that you need to remember, but it's very simple. Look, y equals mx plus b. Now this is your perfect form. It's called slope-intercept form because your m here is always your slope and b is always your y-intercept. You start with finding your b and finding your m. Our m is something that stands before x, which is 3 divided by 4 in this case, and our b is it's everything that's just roaming free, which is 4. So m equals 3 divided by 4, b equals 4. Now what is b? b is our y-intercept. So it's a point where our line intercepts y-axis. Now we have to find b on our y-axis. We start from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4. Our b equals 4. Amazing, we found our y-intercept. Now let's look at the slope. M is our slope. In this case, our slope looks like a fraction, and it's a great thing. It should look like a fraction. Whatever is on top of your fraction is the amount of steps you should make vertically. If it's a positive number, you go up. If it's a negative number, you go down. So in this case, we have number 3. It's positive 3. So we start from our y-intercept, which is 4, and we go up 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. We find ourselves here. Now at the bottom of your fraction is the amount of steps you have to make horizontally. If it's a positive number, you go to the right. If it's a negative number, you go to the left. In our case, it's positive 4. So we make 4 steps to the right from this point. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we find ourselves here. So now what we have to do is just connect those 2 points like this. And this is the graph of our linear equation. This is the graph of y equals 3 divided by 4, x plus 4. This is our solution. And every point on this line will be the solution of our linear equation. Now, it was a very simple example because our initial equation looked exactly like the form that we want it to be in, which is our slope-intercept form. It will not always be so simple, so most likely you will encounter something like this. 2y minus x equals 3x minus 10. Well, this form looks nothing like the form we want to see it in, which is y equals mx plus b. That's why we need to modify this equation so that it looks like our formula. So first thing first, we should make sure that y is the only thing that stays on the left and everything else goes to the right. So we start with adding x to both sides of this equation. We add x to the left and to the right. So what we have is 2y minus x plus x equals 3x minus 10 plus x. We just added x to both sides of the equation, that's why nothing changed. Those x's kill each other out, so we have 2y equals 3x plus x will be 4x, and then minus 10. Then we just divide both sides by 2, we get y equals 2x minus 5. Now, it looks much better because it does correspond with our form y equals mx plus b. We can find m and b here. So our m is something that's attached to x, which is 2, and our b is something that's just roaming free. In our case, it's negative 5. It's a negative 5 because in the formula there is a plus sign here. So basically, in reality, it's something like y equals 2x plus negative 5. Now let's graph this one. Again, we have m equals 2 and then b equals negative 5. We start with b because b is our y-intercept. Our line will intercept y-axis at the point minus 5. So we start here and we go down because it's a negative number. Minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, negative 5. We find ourselves here, and this is the point on our line. Now, let's look at the slope. So in our more simple example, our slope was represented by a fraction. Top of the fraction is the amount of steps we make vertically, and the lower part of the fraction is the amount of steps we make horizontally. In this case, we just have a whole number, which is not good. So we should represent it in the form of a fraction. Now, whenever you have a whole number and you want to make it a fraction, you just divide it by 1. So our m will be 2 divided by 1. You can always do that because if you divide something by 1, nothing changes. So our m is 2 divided by 1. Now on the top of the fraction is the amount of steps we make vertically. So we start at our point minus 5, which was our b, and we make 2 steps up. Up because 2 is a positive number. If it was a negative number, we'd go down. And then on the bottom of our fraction, we have 1. That's why we make 1 step to the right. If it was a negative 1, we'd make 1 step to the left, okay? And then we just connect those points, and this is the line that we get. We can make it even longer right here, and this is the solution of our equation. So whenever you see something more complicated than the form y equals mx plus b, you just do your best to make sure that your equation gets to that form, you find your m, you find your b, and then just go with it.